everyone, today I'll be redrawing some of my old drawings. So not to be rushing anything, but the first one is this Ichigo from Darling in the Franxx I did as a request for one of my old friends. I was taking a lot of requests at the time since nobody was buying my commissions and stuff, so I was like, you know what, I need to do something to break this art block. So I just took a bunch of requests for anime characters and I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. I made a lot of videos on my old TikTok account. I changed the username like 2 times, so even if you do go back into my old descriptions and try to find my TikTok, you won't. So I like to change my username. So anyway, to start out, oh, I just hit my knee. That was my knee hitting the desk. I'm good. Anyway, sorry for the interruption. I didn't have all the colors I needed because I went through my markers one day, like my Ohuhu markers, and I realized a lot of them were dried out, so these are the same markers I used for the drawing your Gotcha Life characters as Gotcha video. If you haven't checked that out, it'll be in an info card on the top right screen, maybe right about now. And I tried out these markers, I liked them. I did have a few problems with them though, if you want to order these, such as the caps did not match the color. And like the skin pink, for example, it's supposed to be like a skin tone, but the salmon pink was more of a skin tone than anything. And even though I've been using these markers for a little over a month now, I still have trouble with trying to find colors, so sometimes I'll have to test them on my bleed through paper. And these are the last 3 pages of my sketchbook, so if you want me to do a sketchbook tour, let me know, because I can certainly do that, because I've improved a lot over this sketchbook. As you can see, I've changed my eye style. If you haven't noticed that, I did. Now I'm going to talk about some of the things in my old drawing that I definitely needed to fix. So I'm just going to pull up this drawing now, and okay. To start off, I remember drawing this and I accidentally got white pen everywhere, so I had to smudge it, and it kind of looked like hair shines, even though there were already hair shines, so I didn't really know what I was gonna do. The way her colors are, I messed up on the colors. I know I made her dress blue instead of gray, which I was like, there's something wrong about this, but I'm not sure what's wrong with this. Yeah, it was the dress. So, I haven't had time to make this video, but I had time tonight since I'm on Christmas break, finally. I'm sure a lot of you all have been on Christmas break, and it's been a great time. So, if you're not on Christmas break yet, it's pretty great. So, and I got her eye color wrong, I just realized that. Everything is blue. Blue. We don't talk about that song. Anyway, back to critiquing my, thing. So one thing I will say is that lines aren't half bad, but her body is tilted and her face is not proportioned correctly. Her hands are too small for her body, and it's just kind of a mess, to be honest. Where her cheek is, I know I'm not the best at art, okay? Even after sketching and I've started to line, I'm like, oh my gosh, this needs to be fixed. So even I noticed mistakes and stuff I'm doing right then and there. But on the other hand, when you're, I guess you could say, younger artist, even though this is from much earlier this year, maybe back in March or May. Maybe even like back in April, I'm not sure. But something like that. I mean, I just thought my art was the greatest thing that's ever existed, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm gonna be so famous. But now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, okay. So hair shading, I am pretty sure I used the same color to shade. I just made it darker, which makes it look like it's just flat color. That's not something you want to do. If you don't have a darker color for that color, I can see why you do that. But on the other hand, it's going to look like flat color as long as you're blending it. Another thing is that on her collar, that's supposed to be white. I messed that up too, because I didn't go back and look at her colors. I used too dark of a gray. It would have been fine if I were doing like the back of her collar with a much darker gray, but it's just, oh my. I mean, the eyes, they're fine, except, I mean, I could have blended the marker more efficiently. This next drawing is what I like to call my evil girl. She is from one of my older sketchbooks. If you want to see the original of that, I can link it down below in a stash file from DeviantArt. But this was originally a pencil drawing, and one day when I was maybe 10, I was like, I'll redraw this, 'cause why not? So I did. And I just kept redrawing it after that, and if you want to see the evil girl evolution, I mean, I'll link that down below in a stash file as well. So, for this drawing had many problems that I would like to discuss. First off, the buns. The buns do not look attached to her head in the original photo. They're like little steam buns. They're or like little shrimp maybe. They're not attached to her head. And that is an issue I have, because buns are a part of your hair and they're attached to your head. So, another thing is shading and the way the pigtails are, and just the lines. The lines are not smooth at all. I know I could still work on line art because, I mean, everyone has something they could work on. This line art was done in just like normal pen, just writing a letter pen, not artist pens. Then again, I didn't use like Copic liners or anything like I do now. I was also using markers that were becoming dry, which is a pain. And her shoulders don't necessarily look attached to her neck, and her face is on the right, it's like squished in a way, so it's very, very weird. The eyes are very dispositioned. The one on the right is very small compared to the one on the left. And remember, I'm talking about the original drawing, not the one I'm doing now. But, yeah, just, I remember, at this time I was very into Doki Doki Literature Club. I still love the game now, it's just I'm not as big into it as I was whenever I was doing these drawings, and my camera fell over. Because Doki Doki was very popular whenever I was drawing this, and that's kind of where I developed my style, is from this game, because this game is great. And her hips are very down compared to what a normal human would look like. I'm not going to really judge the hands, because hands are very hard to do in my opinion, so I don't really blame my younger self for drawing hands the way I did, so I'll let that slide. But, the way everything is positioned, I could definitely work on shading on the original drawing, because the way the dress is, like, going up, I would shade more in the middle. And with the socks, I would have to shade, like, right where the dress is flowing up, if you get what I'm saying? Like I did here, where the dress is, like, flowing, and then the top of the socks are, like, shaded a darker red. I'm sure you get what I'm saying. But, besides that, I mean, it's a pretty okay drawing for 10 years old. Okay, so the iconic Sailor Chibi Moon. This drawing I'll have a lot to critique, so listen up please. So, first off, the head shape. It's very triangular. If you were to draw this face, just looking at it and then trying to like redraw it, the face shape would be very, very triangular, which is not something you want unless you're drawing like Phineas and Ferb fan art or something like that, which I don't think you are. So, the face is very big in comparison to like her arms. The arms, that is definitely something I want to talk about. Her elbow is like where her chest is on the right, and then on the left it's like down to her waist. I don't understand. And the hands and the arms are very small compared to her head and body. If I were to add a little more skin, I guess you could say, more meatiness to the arms, I would have been just fine, like I did here. I remember how proud I was of this whenever I first did it. Now I'm looking back and I'm like, I could do this very easily, but I know I can do much better than this. And I just want to talk about how her little Ibuki ear things, hair accessories are like very detailed compared to everything else. Like the eyes to nose and mouth ratio are very big compared to like everything else. I know, don't come at me, anime eyes are much bigger than normal human eyes. And I've seen a lot of semi-realism and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, your style, that's great, but it's still good to learn anatomy, basic anatomy, how to draw hands and stuff like that, so you can know how to do it in the future, or at least practice it in the future when you get bored or something, because, I mean, I can't really promise that you're going to get better at anatomy unless you practice it. Like, I remember there was this one time I sat down and watched a tutorial on how to do hands. I'm still not good at hands, but I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. So, the more you draw something, the better you're gonna get at it. Like, you see how the eyes are practically the same size, while the right eye could be tilted to make it better. It may be a little more spaced out, it looks fine. On the original artwork I did, the eye on the right is very small compared to the larger eye on the left. If you want to go back and take a minute to look at that, you may, and you will see what I'm talking about. I think if you were looking at this for the first time, you definitely wouldn't see as many flaws as I'm pointing out. While I did get better at pulling the waist up a little bit, shading was still very simplistic, and I could have definitely chosen better colors to use for the skirt and the hair because it's very dark compared to the original colors. Let's see. What was I gonna say? Unless I was doing like cell shading or something like that, which you don't usually do that unless you are on digital. I mean, it would have been fine, but I used a much darker color for a lot of the shading, so it doesn't look normal, you know. It doesn't look super just normally shaded, like as you would see on a person. Anime, since people have to animate that stuff, I know shading is definitely much more simplified and knocked down, but if you're looking at just a normal anime piece someone tried really hard on, like someone like, what's an anime artist people like, Hayao Natsu or Nico Rina, if you don't know who they are, I highly suggest you check them out. They're amazing anime artists. You can tell that they do detailed works and it's beautiful, but like, they're not animating that stuff, so they don't have to knock down the shading and the eyes and all that other stuff. So I could have definitely tried better on shading. So yeah, and I can tell I tried more darker shading in the middle, but like I didn't blend it well enough, that's for sure. And the blush could have been spread out along the skin better. Then again, I do think I was using a colored pencil at the time for the skin, since I didn't have skin tone markers, because the first skin tone pack I got was from Katniss for my birthday, and they dried out. They dried out. So, but they were amazing markers. I really like those. I did a background, looks fine. Lining, could have been better, but I did do much better than the evil girl. But overall, I'm really proud of the piece I was able to come up with on this, and it is the last page of my sketchbook, so I'm glad I can make something I really liked. But I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I really hope you could see all of the improvement I made. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye, everyone.